A real project should be self-realization. Human life is meant for self-realization, not sense gratification. And the trouble is with sense gratification, you spend your whole life in sense gratification, the time of death comes and why was I here? What was that all about? What was that for? Why do you ask these questions? You should just die, But no, you ask those questions. If you come to the human form of life, there is already in each of us a sense of a mission. I am here for some purpose. That's our higher consciousness. People don't know what the purpose is. They invest it in other things. And so to spend all their time working, and Prabhupada said, all people get is a little mental satisfaction. Oh, I was an important person. Oh, I was honored by many people. Oh, I have a nice house. I have a nice family. That's what you get. A little mental satisfaction. Which is not what satisfies you. Anyway, what else? Do you have some more questions?
You pretty much answered all of that.
Good.
Oh, one more. Is it happening like this? That ISKCON is becoming recognized and we are becoming the brain of society?
Some places. I think it'll still take time. Prabhupada wanted many things to happen that kind of have fallen apart. The Bhaktivedanta Institute is split up, and so this is our problem in our movement. The farms are not as many as Prabhupada wanted. Those farms should not just be places of practice, but of teaching others. In Gita Nagari, we do get people coming from a nearby university, Pennsylvania State, and students come there. So, but really, those are the kinds of things that should be attended to by our governing body commission, which is dealing with other problems right now, but I hope they get to it. I can say they because I'm resigned. Yeah?
I have some questions. You mentioned that anyone is benefited by chanting Hare Krishna, initiate or not. Can one develop love of Godhead completely and go back to Godhead without being initiated?
Yeah, it's possible. The initiation helps. But, Prabhupada waited some time before he took initiation. But he said practically I was initiated anyway, because he accepted Bhakti Siddhanta and chanted. But he was a householder, and he was not held in very high esteem by the main leaders of the Gaudiya Math, because they were all brahmacharis and sannyasis. So it took a while before he was initiated, but he said practically I was. So it's not simply based on rituals and rules and regulations. So Prabhupada said one should not avoid initiation, but in writing we give them the beads and we teach them to chant. And if they simply chant, that people should be taught about offenses against the holy name so they can learn to chant while trying to give up offenses. If you're not trying to give up offenses, then the holy name is not very potent. People have noticed and have remarked to me that a lot of devotees have noticed that when they begin chanting Hare Krishna, immediately they feel a whole lot of changes, and enthusiasm, and their life gets better, and everything is wonderful when they first start chanting. And then later, especially after they get initiated, it gets difficult to keep on going. And the general explanation that I've heard for this phenomena is that in the beginning Krishna gives you some extra mercy, but then later on you have to do it yourself. I don't think that's what's really happening, or that's not a fully accurate description. when you first begin Krishna consciousness, you come to a temple, you think all the devotees are great souls. Then you get to know them. So when you were ignorant and a fool, you thought they were all great souls. You weren't committing any Vaishnava aparad. Then after you get to know the devotees, and people got little habits, and somebody always leaves a rag right here, and and you have to keep cleaning up after them, and you tell them not to leave this rag right here, but they still do it. Then it's harder. Whatever it may be, that people's little habits or difficulties, like that. But generally, one has to really, the practice of Krishna, of cultivating the holy names, is to chant the holy names while trying to give up offenses, one of which is Vaishnava aparad. But the Bhaktivinoda Thakur in Harinam Chintamani, there's a really good observation that he makes. He says that the one offense from which all the other offenses spring, or grow from, the kind of seedbed they all grow from, is inattentiveness while chanting. Pramadaha in the list that's given us of the offenses. Api pramadaha. Pramadaha literally means insanity or distraction. And so he says that if you don't try to deal with this offense, then you won't be successful in dealing with the others. So in a sense, that makes it easy, because you know where to start. Because at least when we sit down and chant rounds, we're not dealing with other people. In fact, the only thing we're dealing with is our own mind, which wants to go away from the holy name. So if you chant Krishna, if you chant on your beads and are thinking about so many other things, people have told me, yeah, when I'm chanting, I get so many good ideas. Because that's offensive chanting. And the potencies of the holy name are very weak. But clearing stage means when you notice the mind has gone away, bring it back. Because that way, to me, because the Hare Krishna mantra is all in the case of vocative case. We're addressing Krishna, we're calling on Krishna. And they're all vocative, even though Krishna is also the vocative Krishna. We're calling on Krishna. We're asking something. Please engage me in your service. We want a relationship. So we're asking. So by trying to pay attention, we're showing Krishna that we're interested in a relationship. And so we can ask him, please give me devotional service. Or if there's some particular obstacle, or say material attachment I have that I'm struggling to get over, please help me with this problem. You can do like that. It's something to think about. You can say, I'm chanting, please free me from desire for money, or free me from whatever it may be, that we have an attachment separate from Krishna. Please free me from a desire to be popular. Please free me from sexism. Whatever it is, you ask. That's not distraction. You're asking on Krishna to please bring me close to you. That's the prayer. Please engage me in your service. So the corollary, the logical equivalent, is please free me from anything that stops me engaging in your service. So that's the prayer. That's chanting on the clearing stage. And we find in the Chaitanya Charitamrita that Haridas Thakur says that What's manifest then is called Namabhasa. It's not the pure name, but it's the dawning light of the holy name. And that Namabhasa, according to Haridas Thakur, frees one from all sinful reactions and brings one to the platform of mukti, liberation. And then the pure name gives Krishna prema. So that's how we should chant. When we sit down and chant, it should be with this idea of chanting on the clearing stage. Then it will be effective. But if we're chanting and committing offenses and not doing anything about it, then we'll be stuck. So you want to improve the Hare Krishna movement, this is the place to start. Your own mind, your own heart. Make ourselves better. Then we'll help make other devotees better. And then the whole movement will become more and more powerful. So everyone can do something. And then get other people to do the same thing. And set the example and teach that to others. And then you'll see our movement becoming more and more potent. And Krishna will send people to us as we can also take proper care of them. But sometimes, if you're not failing on the main thing, you'll substitute something else. It became easy at one point to substitute collecting money for spiritual advancement. Especially if you're Americans. The business of America is business, one former president said. So that you can be like that. Okay? Mm-hmm.
I was praying for a while to Krishna to please send someone that he said I could read Bhagavad Gita with and study with and like this. But then he sent so many. And
good.
But I feel I'm not, like taking care. I don't feel like there's enough time to each one.
Well, do the best you can and ask Krishna for help. Maybe he'll send you some help too. It's not bad to feel that I'm not doing the best job I can. That's okay. You can be humble too, Okay, I'm not worthy of this, but I do the best I can. And I ask Krishna to help me. If I need anything more, he'll help. Either send somebody to help me or give me more power or whatever it may be. But at least there's a lot to be done, huh? There's lots of people to help. So we just... look, Prabhupada was all by himself. Krishna sent people, they were not very qualified, but those people should become more qualified. And he gradually did it. But Prabhupada had lots of... It is not that in the early days everybody was surrendered to Prabhupada. Even though Prabhupada was there, that he was recognized. So many people left. We like to tell the story of this great victory, and that Prabhupada was the pure devotee and everybody was Krishna conscious. Nonsense. It was worse then than it is now. Even though Prabhupada was there, because so many people, were not really following Krishna consciousness or found it very difficult or didn't even understand what the rules were. Malati told me this story, that they were in San Francisco, and her husband, Shamsundar, was carving the Jagannath deities. Malati had found some little ones in a shop, and so Prabhupada decided this was Krishna's sign that we should have first deities will be Jagannath, whom Prabhupada said was very merciful to children and meat eaters. And so he had Shyamsundar carve them. Now, Shyamsundar was very well connected with the hippie scene in the West Coast, because mostly he was the drug dealer to all the big bands, like the Grateful Dead and all these people. They lived just across the street, and that was his. And so, you know, he gave up LSD and marijuana and all these things, you know. So anyway, so he was carving the Jagannath deities. Prabhupada came to inspect them. How was it going? And when he came, Shyamasundar's pack of cigarettes, his palm malls, were right on top of Lord Jagannath being carved. And Prabhupada didn't say a word. But then, at the time, he just looked at the deities, said thank you. And then, afterwards, he said to them, you know, you shouldn't be smoking cigarettes because you've taken a vow, no intoxication. Malati said, I said, what? Cigarettes don't get you high. They didn't even realize, you know, that this was... So people didn't understand even to me, you know, cigarettes don't get you high. They'd given up LSD and whatever, you know. And then Prabhupada did a very interesting thing. He says, no, you should quit. He said to Shyamsundar, how many cigarettes are in a pack? And he said 20. And how much do you smoke every day? He says, 1 pack a day. Okay, he says, so tomorrow you smoke your pack. The next day, 19 cigarettes. The next day, 18 cigarettes. So in 20 days, you'll be... And so that's what he did. That's how he quit. But he didn't say do it instantly or every day. Decrease 1 cigarette. So you have to be on the path. So people didn't know very much, you know, about Krishna consciousness, and so the devotees were like very, very, very difficult to deal with sometimes, harder than they are now. Anyway, so it wasn't really paradise, but we should actually become Krishna conscious and make advancement. Whatever we are now, all we have to worry about is the next step. That we want to advance in Krishna consciousness. And if we're concerned about what is I have to do next, you should be praying to Krishna and you'll find out. He'll show you. It's in your heart. He wants us back. And all facility will come. All facility will come. He's not in the business of stopping anybody who wants to become a devotee from becoming a devotee. But sometimes you have to learn a lesson. Yeah, one person told me, he said, I want Krishna consciousness, but I also want to be rich. So I tried to explain to him that, you know, actually if you get Krishna consciousness, you're going to be satisfied with everything. That's the definition of faith. That if you attain Krishna consciousness, you will have accomplished everything. But then finally he looked at me and he said, I just don't want to be poor like you. He said, well, we had to have more conversation. Yeah?
And what about, you said, about this transcendental disagreement?
Yeah.
And so how is it, we have groups like and so on, we talk about the other thing. Is this just transcendental disagreement?
I think because they've really separated and formed their own community, we can't say it's transcendental. We can understand, you know, what their misgivings were and why they may have been attracted to that. But that I know where it originated. I know the people that made it up. I know these were the people who weren't following the principles of Krishna consciousness. So finally, you know, we had to say, you should, you know, this is not the philosophy that Prabhupada is teaching us. You know, he never said the parampara ends with me. That's just what Rithik is teaching, that Prabhupada is the last guru and the parampara ends. Prabhupada wanted us to continue it. But I think with the Ritviks, there was a doubt about Prabhupada that they weren't saying. And the doubt is that if Prabhupada had wanted Hamsaduta or whoever, you know, to be a guru, it would have been a mistake. And that therefore, Prabhupada didn't make a mistake, so he really didn't want these people. And some of them really had a great deal of hatred for these gurus who had run into problems. But secretly they had doubts about Prabhupada. We can never discuss they had doubts about Prabhupada. No, I have no doubts about Prabhupada. So they're kind of concealing something. Then you would have, you know, I never had this conversation with them because they wouldn't go any further. They wouldn't admit that that's what was really going on. There was really a doubt about Prabhupada. But Prabhupada, he was asked, people wanted to know who would do initiation. He gave some names. He didn't say, you know, you are my successor, whom I'm anointing. But these are his best men. These were his best people. They did the most work for him. And I've said to my godbrothers who were upset with him, well, they were his best men. Why weren't you or I any better? That's what we should be looking at. As simple as that. So for them, I don't think that's but within ISKCON, the people who still remain, accept the authority of the GBC, I think that's required. You have to accept the authority of the GBC. Because Prabhupada did as well, you know, this is the ultimate managing authority. He didn't say any one person, but he did name this body at the head of ISKCON. And so sometimes I've disagreed with the GBC as an individual. GBC, maybe we talk it over. But ultimately, whatever is decided, we accept it. And the GBC may change its mind, okay. That's all right. So as long as there's agreement, this is ISKCON and it's under the GBC. But you know, the whole Ritvic movement now wants a court case to say that, you know, we're not ISKCON.
Well, we are not ISKCON.
Yeah.
They are ISKCON.
Because I don't know if
Let them.
we have a court case in Long Island in which the Ritvics took over this temple in Long Island, little temple, 2 people in it. But it happened to be the original corporation that Prabhupada made when he incorporated ISKCON. Was a New York corporation. And so because of that, they say we are all of ISKCON. We are ISKCON, all the income from the BBT should go to us. That's what they claim. Anyway, this has been going on for some time. It's been delayed. Anyway, we'll see what happens. But that's what they're claiming. They are the real ISKCON.
What if they win? What will we do then? Never.
That would be very interesting if that happened. I can't imagine. I can't imagine. But we've worked on, you know, we're taking this court case very seriously. And I gave depositions, you know, already to the lawyer from the other side. It's been delayed because the Ritvics in Long Island, they have a lawyer from India. And as everybody knows, Indian law is based on English law, and that's based on delay. Maybe somebody will die, maybe some witnesses will, something, you know. So, but now maybe it's finally going to come. He's still delaying, you know. We had a trial, we had a date set where this is going to go to trial, he wanted to now have a trial judge because the judge who's now the judge is newly appointed, and apparently some people don't think very highly of the judge. And think the judge is like not very qualified. But you know, you can appeal, and anyway, even if the judge makes a mistake, there's an appeal. An appeal is a trial of the judge by another court. But we'll see what happens. Anyway, that's what's going on. So I don't think that's a transcendental disagreement. Because the transcendental agreement is how should we best serve Krishna? And this is not about that. It's not interested in serving Krishna. Everywhere there's money and assets, and it's about taking control over Krishna's property.
Transcendental disagreement has actually happened between pure souls.
Well, people who are sincerely trying to become pure.
Yeah. Most have to be pure behind it.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, there has to be a pure motive for this. Yeah.
Like examples from the Pandavas, for example, they were all true devotees, but they would sometimes disagree.
Yeah, they disagreed among themselves.
I wonder, there's no material qualification to take up Krishna consciousness.
That's right.
Shraddha it starts off the process. Isn't the Shraddha of the soul then? Is the Shraddha it's the Shraddha of the soul.
Yeah.
That started with, and how does that start? If it is not continued from other lives, how?
It may be continued from other lives.
Yeah, but when it's not.
It may come from agyata sukriti, unknown good deeds. Maybe you served a devotee, this life or the other life. Some way, some content. Or maybe you can just receive, when you say causeless mercy, it means mercy we didn't deserve. To me, I think the reason our movement began is there were all these people coming to Prabhupada, and they were, not fit. I know very well that Prabhupada's godbrothers would have never dealt with the people that came to Prabhupada. Because they all then criticizing them later, all your disciples were just drug-addicted hippies, there were no high-class people. But Prabhupada, these are the people that came. And Prabhupada saw something and gave them prasadam and saw there was some spark and fanned that spark. But I think what really happened, he said to Krishna, I want to give these people Krishna consciousness. These people help these people come Krishna consciousness. And Krishna would have said, well, they're not qualified. And Prabhupada said, I know they're not qualified, but still I want them to have Krishna consciousness. And I think that as we saw in today's verse, Krishna felt very indebted to Srila Prabhupada, because all by himself, starting at the age of 69, he did this thing, leaving his own country, having no money, finding his way to the West, having spent a number of years making his own translation